Hey there, this is Jem again, and I am sharing that I am teaching communication skills, and this is my channel on that. If you are interested in communication skills, whether you're at it for the first time and want to learn a little bit more or a lot more, or you're a very good communicator, this series will detail what I've done in my history, as well as all of the tools that I bring to a deeper level of understanding of one another, whether that's in nature, with birds, with the reptiles and amphibians, with insects sometimes, with trees, plants, and that world, and with mammals. From a very young age, I was interested in nature, and one of my first words actually was birds. So I was fascinated with learning to communicate with them. And while I think it's funny that my father taught me that if you can sprinkle salt on a bird's tail, you can catch it, I had no interest in catching birds, but I tried that because truly, if you can sprinkle salt on a bird's tail, you're close enough to catch it. Just think about it. But more importantly, if you can communicate with that bird and mimic its calls when it is attracting others of its kind, or mating, or anything else, you're going to find that you are in communication with it. Whether or not it responds depends on how authentic your sound is to its sound, and how closely it can determine whether it's the same gender or not. One of the biggest ways of understanding communication is to come down to the level of whomever you're communicating with. And what I mean by come down to is you have ideas of how to communicate, and the other person or the other being has a different way and a different idea of communicating. And if you can meet them at their level, you're eliminating the errors that people make about connecting with and being on the same page with anything that you're communicating with. And that can be everything from plants and animals and trees and people and birds and insects and water, for that matter, stones and everything else. So this series will detail communication skills in terms of hearing versus listening, active listening, and participatory active listening, where you're hearing your person or your whoever you're listening to on a much deeper level, saying back verbatim if it's a person, mimicking if it's an animal, and not only that, but actually taking it in and saying it back in a way that they understand you very clearly. The key is clarity. If you start with saying back what you think they're saying, you've missed the point. If you say back verbatim, you've got it. And if you can elaborate on that by saying it in your own words, you've got an even deeper understanding. And then you've got a key to communicating better and more effectively with that person. So that's listening and hearing. Deeper listening is, of course, going to a deeper level where you're actually taking in, wearing it, sitting with it, listening much more closely, observing eye contact, body language, the space between words or the space between sounds, and being able to sit with it before speaking. One of the ways I do that is having a child. When she was very young, my daughter relied on me to get her to sleep. And I had ideas of how that could happen because I learned a technique that Oprah Winfrey put out when she worked with, I can't remember her name, but the last name was Dunstan, a video that was 7 minutes long on how to communicate with babies. Everybody is born with an intrinsic, reflexive language. We have from birth 5 main sounds and 7 to 9 more elaborate sounds before we start to learn words. And I'll detail those in another video, but there's a video out there if you look for it, Oprah Winfrey Dunstan baby language. And that's intrinsic to understanding babies and how they work. I watched that video and I was able to meet my daughter's needs before she hyped it up. When she was making the first sounds, at first I didn't understand. They all sounded the same to me. But if I listened more carefully after watching that video several times, I could hear the distinct sound as different from each one. And when I answered with what she needed, she stopped making that sound. Granted, she was about 3 months old before I truly figured it out. But what I'm saying is that communication, deep listening, observing, and really taking the time and effort to put in to understanding the language better, understanding your person better, the body language, everything is coming at you, you can reach a deeper level of understanding and have better communication with them. And if you're in conflict with that person, I strongly encourage you to check my other videos out on conflict resolution, on relationship communication, and other tools such as relational dynamics, finding your path, social skills. I have a number of videos that I have out on, and a number of series that I have out on different levels of social skills and social interactions and communication. The next piece is how you show up. If you're showing up with a lot of feelings, your person isn't going to be available. First of all, ask them if they have time, and if they don't, ask for a time. Be specific. You really only need 5 minutes to say what you need to. Don't ask for an hour, but ask for a 5-minute increment. People can give up 5 minutes really easily. Express your feelings honestly and openly by saying what you're feeling. If you're feeling angry, know why you're feeling angry. Write it down on a piece of paper and say it openly, and be willing to hear whatever they say in response. Usually it's going to come with an apology. So if you're feeling angry, you might want to say all kinds of things, but given the 5 minutes, you come in with, I want to share with you how I'm feeling. And to get better communication with you and to understand you and be on the same page with you, I want to say that I feel angry because what you said, what you did, whatever it was, rubbed me the wrong way. I reacted by whatever you did, and I apologize. And going forward, I would appreciate if you say what you need to about that. Approach me differently. That alone in a 5-minute period will give you a huge tool to going forward, and you can take that with any feelings. So how you show up and how you ask to be heard in communication really matters. Another really important piece is to recognize eye contact and body language. Now in this day and age, many people look away because they have a hard time connecting with feelings, because those feelings are not expressed openly and honestly, but as blame, shame, guilt, and other things. If your body language is open and their body language is open, you have an inning, and then get to the piece about asking them for time to communicate with them about what is going on and communicating. Another big piece, of course, is eye contact. Anytime you're in public or around other people, making eye contact is really big. And I have a few other series on meeting people and connecting with people in public and how to do that. And I encourage you to look there as well. There's open versus closed language and connection. If you're open, you're going to invite openness. If you're closed, your connection is going to be closed. If you're limiting yourself to how you express to the other person or the other being how you think they are speaking or talking to you and trying to mimic that, it's not going to go anywhere. With no matter what animal or what bird or whatever you're mimicking and it's off, they're not going to talk with you, people or otherwise. And if they are, it's because they're stuck in a pattern with you. Step out of the pattern and try to hear what they were saying, not what you wanted to hear, and also say it back verbatim and then say it back in your own words so that you have an understanding. Conflict resolution is really huge. To me, I've lived through numerous relationships, 34 of which were insignificant, and one which was and is really big in my life. And this is why I've shifted away from doing what everybody else wants me to do in my life for the last 55 years and recognizing that I can choose differently and I can choose a different level of communicating and being in conflict. And if I have the mirror and if I have the feedback and it's working, even if it's not working, I can counsel and help them work through that. So part of my work in communication skills is knowing where I am, meeting you where you are, looking for the key signs that aren't working, hearing the details on that and patterns and so forth, and opening it up so that you have a better understanding of where you are, how you're communicating, how effective it is, and how ineffective it is going forward, so that you have the tools you need to get better at being a better communicator. Looking at patterns, this is something that, of course, goes way back in our history. If we look back to the age of when we're born to age 7, we have a pattern that happens in that age. If you go back into your memories of that age, there will be significant things that you remember, positive and negative. Those imprint you for life. And while you may have undergone different connections with different people, you followed that pattern and you've broken some of those patterns and you've changed some of those things. But all of that doesn't really matter. You can choose differently. You can choose to relate differently. You know that you survived that you're living, and that you made it, and that you've done what you need to in your life. But if you're not communicating the way you want to, look at that and how that reflects in your life going forward and how you could be better. Talking versus what? I don't know, yelling or being not heard. To be able to be heard clearly, it's important that who you're communicating with has either the time or the energy to commit to it. If you're not taking care of your basic needs and they're not taking care of their basic needs, you're not going to be met very well. So look at a few of my other teachings on basic needs. Are you fed or are you hungry? Are you thirsty, or have you had something to drink? Are you well rested, or are you exhausted? And are you safe? Or are you not safe? And in all of that, if those needs aren't met and you're totally off, your communication is going to be crap. And the person is going to know it, and they're going to bully or pick at it because they can't interact with something that's so off. Get your basic needs met, come up with a time, give them the framework that works for you, or a time that works for you, or a few times, or put it on their plate and give an outside time of when it works so that you can move forward in a safe and workable way. It might not feel good, and of course it won't initially to bring anything to anybody. It doesn't always feel good. Conflict resolution is that way. But until they're safe and you're taken care of and your basic needs are met, communication is going to be really difficult. Attention. In attention, I've sort of outlined it already. We have several different pieces. One being asking for when a good time is, and really getting that from your person or your animal, be it at the zoo or wherever. If they're not making contact and they don't have the body language and they don't have the space and they're not making fun in some way, or they're not interacting with you, then your communication with them is going to be really kind of twisted around and trying too hard to make something happen that isn't there. Another thing is stating a time. If you don't clearly state a time, once you've established that you want time and they have their time open, state clearly what you want. If that doesn't work, ask them what does and get it down solid. Start with 5 minutes and work from there. 5 minutes is enough time to say your basic need, and if they want to go further, you can go further. But always start with that and elaborate. Just talking at somebody never works. You can yell at them and they can hear it, and it's a pattern. And this is a pattern that has repeated in other places in your life, likely. And you're doing it with this person or with this being because that's what you're in the habit of doing. If you can pause for a few moments and realize that you could do this differently, I'll help you walk through that. I thank you very much for watching this. And if you're getting anything out of this, I strongly encourage you to subscribe to my videos going forward and to learn a deeper level of communicating and learn a different way of understanding who you're interacting with or what you're interacting with and how you're interacting with that so that you can get on the same page. Thank you for watching and have a blessed and wonderful day. Cheers.